Warren Buffett, you may have seen it at the recent Berkshire Hathaway conference. He made statements about Bitcoin. He said, if you let me buy all the Bitcoin in the world for $25, I wouldn't take it.
Warren is 92 years old. I don't think Warren has spent 100 hours thinking about Bitcoin. I don't think Charlie Munger at age 98 has spent 100 hours thinking about Bitcoin. I think that if Warren understood Bitcoin is digital property, which is a form of digital capital, if he understood that, he would go, oh yeah, it's just a dematerialized apartment. My choice is I buy a rental apartment, or I buy 100 acres in Kansas, or I buy a Bitcoin. That's my choice.
Warren Buffett, the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, recently reaffirmed his opposition to Bitcoin, stating that it lacks any intrinsic value and that he thus cannot invest in the cryptocurrency. Interestingly, the flagship digital currency's price when Buffett initially referred to it as rat poison on May 5, 2018. During the Berkshire Hathaway 2018 annual shareholder meeting was priced at $9,500. Now with the price of Bitcoin trading above $30,000. Speaking at the Berkshire Hathaway annual shareholder meeting on April 20, Buffett explained Bitcoin's lack of tangible value by pointing out that industries such as agriculture and real estate, in contrast to Bitcoin, provide greater tangible returns. Now, if you told me you own all of the Bitcoin in the world and you offered it to me for $25, I wouldn't take it because what would I do with it? I have to sell it back to you one way or another. It isn't going to do anything, Warren Buffett said. He emphasized that even if he were to be paid the lowest possible price for all of his Bitcoin, he would most likely sell it back due to the asset's lack of utility. Meanwhile, Charlie Munger, Berkshire's vice chairman and longtime Buffett collaborator, said during the 2018 meeting that trading in cryptocurrencies is just dementia. Munger reiterated his sentiment at the recent shareholder meeting. In my life, I try to avoid things that are stupid and evil and make me look bad in comparison to somebody else, and Bitcoin does all three, Munger said. Last year, MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor, whose software company owns about 129,218 Bitcoins, said the cryptocurrency doesn't need Warren Buffett's endorsement to be wildly successful, in response to Warren Buffett's assertion that Bitcoin is basically worthless because they don't produce anything. Saylor pointed out that other assets have performed extremely well without Buffett's backing and suggested Bitcoin could flourish if even 5% of institutional investors embrace it. Michael Saylor has in a recent interview with the Money GPS YouTube channel reacted to Warren Buffett's recent statement that he would not buy all the Bitcoin available for $25. Before we listen to Michael Saylor, we want to use this opportunity to thank you for all your support for watching our videos. Please don't forget to like the video and consider subscribing if you are yet to do so.
Yeah, I think what Warren misses is that land is a form of physical capital, right? And housing is a form of physical capital. And people will pay you rent on the farmland so they can farm it, and they'll pay you rent on the housing so they can live in it. Bitcoin is just digital capital, and people will pay you rent to borrow that as well. So if you had $1 million of Bitcoin, you could loan it out to someone and get a yield on it right now. In fact, that's what makes it desirable. If I had $1 million of farmland in Argentina, I could only rent it to a farmer in Argentina. If I had $1 million of apartments in Argentina, I could only rent that to people that wanted to live in Argentina. If I had $1 million of Bitcoin in Argentina, I could loan it to a capitalist in Singapore that would probably pay me 8% yield. And then if someone in London heard about it, they might pay me 9% yield. And occasionally someone might decide they want to pay me 18% yield or 4% yield. And so it's just capital. And if you understand it as tokenized capital or digital capital, then the question is, do I want to convert my $1 million of capital into pure digital energy and loan it to anybody in the world and rent it to anybody in the world on a network? Or do I want to convert it into physical energy like farmland? And then, of course, which country do I want the farmland in? And you can't move it, right? And do I want to turn it into an apartment? And the question is, what city do I want the apartment to be in? So, Warren is 92 years old. I don't think Warren has spent 100 hours thinking about Bitcoin. I don't think Charlie Munger at age 98 has spent 100 hours thinking about Bitcoin. I think that if Warren understood Bitcoin is digital property, which is a form of digital capital, if he understood that, he would go, oh yeah, it's just a dematerialized apartment. My choice is I buy a rental apartment, or I buy 100 acres in Kansas, or I buy a Bitcoin. That's my choice. So you see, Bitcoin is actually better property. It's a better gold than gold. It's a better property than property. It's a better money than most currencies. Why? Because it's digital. It's dematerialized. It's programmable. You can move it at the speed of light. It's indestructible. It's incorruptible. You're not going to have to worry about waking up and finding that your house that you own in Barbuda got wiped out by the hurricane. You're not going to find out that the mayor of some city rent controlled your apartment, right? You're not going to find out that that nobody, there's a drought. How much is your farmland worth when there's a drought, right? Not that much. So you take on all sorts of risk and constraint with physical properties. Warren understands them because he can touch them and he can feel them. He doesn't understand Bitcoin because he doesn't have a motivation to think about it. But, Warren does understand one other thing, which is Coca-Cola. And Warren has held Coca-Cola. He's a Coca-Cola maximalist and a hodler for 40 years. And when you ask Warren, why Coca-Cola? By the way, can you improve on Coca-Cola protocol? It was invented a long time ago. How many people have come up with a sweeter, better, more interesting drink than Coca-Cola? It's not a complicated idea, and yet Coca-Cola reigns dominant.
Today's episode is sponsored by iTrust Capital, the #1 crypto IRA platform in America. We allow you to invest in your favorite cryptocurrencies without worrying about taxes. That's right. iTrust Capital allows you to buy and sell your favorite cryptocurrencies completely tax-free. That means if you invest $10,000 into Cardano and it grows to $100,000, all of your profits are tax-free. Why is it tax-free? We took the existing retirement account industry and flipped it on its head. Instead of boring stocks and bonds, you can invest in crypto. How is it secured? Through Coinbase Custody, one of the leading cold storage providers with a $320 million insurance policy to protect against theft, hacks, and loss of funds. Roll over your existing retirement account, or even start a new one from scratch. Questions? Schedule a free call with one of our crypto retirement account specialists, and they can help you discuss your options. Start your crypto IRA today and retire early, only at iTrust Capital. Click the link in the description to open a free account now.
And what's the value proposition of Coca-Cola? It's the greatest beverage brand in the world, maybe other than water. You got water, and then you walk into a restaurant and they say, what do you want to drink? You say Coke or Diet Coke, and they have it. Now try ordering Diet Dr. Pepper or Diet Mr. Pibb or Diet, Strawberry Sarsaparilla, and they look at you like you're crazy. Now here's the big idea. The idea of Coca-Cola is embedded in the heads of billions of people. If I wiped out all of the bottling plants of Coca-Cola, if I wiped out the manufacturing, the corporation, the executives, everything, and all the contracts, would Coca-Cola still have value? And the answer is yes. The only way for Coca-Cola not to have value is you have to rip it out of the heads of 8 billion people. If you could telepathically reach into the heads of all 8 billion people on the planet and blank Coca-Cola from their mind, then maybe you've destroyed the brand. But the fact is, people think Coca-Cola is synonymous with something that's safe to drink, that I can order, that I can get. And Bitcoin is synonymous with money. And it's the greatest monetary brand. So certainly, if water is to Coca-Cola as the dollar is to Bitcoin, in a way. And some people just don't take the time to figure it out. I mean, you can't begrudge, two business people that lived into their 90s for not grasping the new thing that the 20-somethings are figuring out. It's not, if I'm 90 years old or 92 or 98, and you come along with some great telepathic, implant and ask me my opinion, I might say, it kind of scares me. I'm not so sure about it. but so be it, right? I mean, like it's not my job to like be up on every technology, every minute of my life. People should be thinking for themselves on this matter and come to their own conclusions.
In addition to Michael Saylor, many people in the crypto space, including Elon Musk and Binance CEO, Changpeng Zhao, responded to Warren Buffett's criticism of Bitcoin. Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao said that Bitcoin and Buffett don't need each other. Warren has enough paper money and is happy. Bitcoin has enough supporters and growing, CZ tweeted in response to Warren Buffett's criticism of Bitcoin. In addition, Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk seemed to make fun of Buffett, replying, haha, he says Bitcoin so many times in a Twitter discussion with venture capitalist Mark Andreessen. Musk was reacting to a clip of Buffett and Andreessen's caption that said, "It's so wild he says this stuff while nakedly shilling diabetes." Andreessen was referring to boxes of candies that surrounded Buffett as he spoke on stage. Bitcoin has always divided people, and things are not about to change. There will always be intransigent people who say that the king of cryptocurrencies is only a speculative asset and a tool for criminals seeking to launder their assets. For others, Bitcoin protects against inflation, limits the power of governments and central banks, and that above all, it is a coin that opens the doors of finance to all regardless of their social background, race, gender, or residence. While it is possible to convince the anti-Bitcoin to go the way towards the supporters of the coin, it is very rare that it happens in the opposite direction. We are 100% convinced that Bitcoin will win in the end, and more people will keep getting into the crypto space with time. However, it might be too late for Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger because they are probably too old to understand the blockchain technology. Thanks for watching. Stay savvy.